Dear students, welcome to UGC Patasala program on Population Studies. I am Professor Sandhya from the School of Economics, University of Hyderabad. Today's module is on Tools of Economic Evaluation 2. This module, the learning objective is to know the various steps and stages of cost-benefit analysis in detail. There are 3 stages for assessment of all costs and benefits. All relevant costs and benefit variables must be identified. Second stage is quantified and the third stage is valued. Stage 1. The identification of relevant costs and benefits will define the variables in the study. Example, changes in the resource use, changes in productive output, changes in health state. Stage 2 of cost benefit analysis or cost effective analysis, to measure the changes in the above variables brought out by the intervention. Stage 3, quantifying changes in the resources used in terms of land, labor, capital or consumables. Labor, the predominant element of most healthcare, is often expressed in units of time that can later be valued in some way, which means by apportioning the salaries of the staff to the time per unit that they spend for each activity of the health care. The quantification of raw materials, example, amount of drugs, dressings, appliances is usually straightforward as these counted and recorded by routine data systems. Labor and consumables are less problematic as they can normally be attributed specifically to a study intervention. Quantifying the share of specific intervention from common resources, which means shared resources, is the main problem. But there are various accountancy techniques to resolve this. For example, the shared resources are the hospital examination hall, which is used for many people, or the lab can also be used for more number of outputs. Externality costs and benefits have to be taken into account. The differential timing of costs and benefits must be considered in an evaluation. The effects of health treatments do not always occur at the same point of time. Costs may be incurred today, but the benefits may not arrive until next year, which is usually takes a lag time. For example, preventive treatments, health promotions will have a benefit at a later date. Part of this future benefit might be that future costs will be avoided. For example, rupees 100 spent today may not have the same value as rupees 100 next year because of inflation, interest on savings, and not least a positive rate of time preference. This is called discounting future costs and benefits to their present day value. Purpose of CBA. Cost benefit analysis is a technique which would examine the advantages and disadvantages of alternative policy options and the efficiency and cost of individual healthcare services. To increase efficiency per output of public sector products, cost benefit analysis has been developed. It does exactly what demand and supply does in the corresponding private sector. When the markets are not perfect, CBA is used as a tool for proper allocation of resources. CBA or cost effective analysis are techniques designed to improve the decision making. CBA discovers whether the benefit of a particular project outweighs its real resource cost, which is opportunity cost. Principles of cost benefit approach. Efficiency and equity. The costs of producing any given output are minimized and the utility of individuals' preferences are maximized. Cost benefit adopts a societal perspective. Maximization of utility for society and maximization of profit could be achieved only in perfect competitive market situation. Because there is a failure of market in healthcare systems for various reasons, as explained in the first module of Tools of Economic Evaluation, government's intervention is necessary. Since the healthcare cannot be traded in the market, CBA is used for allocating resources. Aim of CBA. The perfect market achieve both technical and allocative efficiency given any initial endowments of resources. The aim of CBA is to identify potential Pareto superior or Pareto improvements. Here we will define what is a Pareto superior. Pareto superior means a state of economy A is said to be Pareto superior to another state B if at least one person is better off in A than B, but none is worse off. It is not always easy to find Pareto improvement. For example, when we develop a vaccination program, there are many who saved from the diseases, but some that are. Another concept that we have to know here is Pareto improvement. It is based on individuals and their welfare. The welfare of the community as being made up of welfare of individuals. Example, people gaining utility from benefits to others, but welfare of society is different from the sum of individual utilities. It is not always easy to find Pareto improvement. For example, when we develop a vaccination program, there are many who are saved from the diseases, but some that are also harmed, a few who may be killed by the vaccine. Almost no activity can be guaranteed to be without a loser. Most people would judge that it is reasonable for there to be some losers if the gains to those who benefit are sufficiently large. We need some basis for judging the relative importance of the gains to the gainer and the losses to the loser. One approach is to ask those who can gain to compensate those who lose. If they do this and are still better off, it is a source that their gain exceeded the losses to those who lost. So, there is a Pareto improvement. But in reality, it is difficult to find a project in which no one is made worse off. If the losers are to be compensated from the benefits of the gainers, the project would be undertaken. The criterion is satisfied if the amount by which beneficiaries gain exceed the amount by which the losers lose, which is called social efficiency. Allocative efficiency, there are no losers. Social efficiency, there can be losers. Classification of projects. Projects can be classified into 4 categories based on both efficiency and equity. 1 and 3 are accepted if efficiency is taken into consideration. If equity is taken into consideration, only 1 is accepted. The whole diagram is shown in the figure. The second step in cost benefit analysis is measuring efficiency. There are 2 approaches to measure efficiency. One is human capital approach. It values all health improvements by the improvement in labor productivity caused by health improvement. Thus, saving a life of a working man produces a benefit equal to the money value of that man's future work output. It is easy to apply, but omits the psychological benefits, which is utility enhancement, and hence it is difficult to measure the extent of understatement of benefits. The second approach is willingness to pay approach. It takes into account the psychological benefits that the patients get from healthcare. It estimates the amount that the patient would be willing to pay for the benefits. A person who is willing to pay more is getting more benefits. There are 3 weaknesses in this approach. 1. The effective demand for a service indicates only the benefits that individuals are willing to purchase for themselves and exclude the benefits that will accrue to the other members. Second weakness is the effect of demand expresses the willingness to pay of uninformed consumer. The third weakness is the effective demand for a service weights individuals by how much their willingness to pay without adjusting for the resources available to individuals. Consumer surplus. Here we should know the concept of consumer surplus. The demand curve indicates the revealed preferences and or indicators of marginal value to consumers can be extended to introduce the concept of consumer surplus. Consumer surplus is defined as a value to a consumer who is trading in the market at a given price. It is measured by the area under the demand curve. Since this sums additional value to the consumer of each unit purchased above the price or marginal cost to the consumer who is purchasing it, let the market price be at 4. Figure 1 gives you the Mrs. Brown's demand for aspirin. This, on the x-axis you will find the quantity demanded, on the y-axis you will find the price. According to the demand curve, the consumer is willing to pay rupees 7 as price for the first unit of the aspirin, but actually she pays only rupees 4 market price as given by the market price, that is shown in the demand curve, and she gains rupees 3. So, first unit gain is 7 minus 4, 3, second unit gain is 6 minus 4, 2, third unit gain is 5 minus 4, 1, fourth unit gain is 4 minus 4, 0. Thus, if we sum up all the gains of each unit, we will find the total surplus as 6. Thus, the surplus in the area under the is the area under the demand curve. Difference between areas OLCA minus OLCD will give us the consumer surplus. Consumer surplus is important because how the welfare of consumer changes with the changes in the prices is depicted here. The consumer surplus must be set against government's cost of the project in order to make an initial rough estimate of whether the project is worth implementing. The consumer surplus must be calculated for each year during which project beneficiaries are expected to accrue and then discounted to arrive at the present value of future benefits. Consumer surplus is usually measured by another concept, what is called as compensation variation. This is the maximum a consumer is willing to pay for a benefit or the minimum a consumer would be willing to receive to accept some loss. Thus, compensation variation is measured with respect to consumers' existing utility level. We cannot measure the changes in the utility, and so we are measuring the income changes through the compensation variation. In figure, IC1 represents various combinations of income and quantity of commodity X. IC1 is not touching x axis because consumer prefers income than for more of X. Suppose the price of X is known, then AB shows the income price frontier. The income price line touches the IC2 at R1. OS quantity of X is brought by giving up AY2 income by the consumer. This is the figure showing the Hicks approach to measuring consumer surplus. Suppose if he does not know the price X and plans to buy the same quantity of X, OS to get IC1 utility. He is willing to sacrifice AY1 income for this. Thus, the difference between AY1 and AY2 is the consumer surplus. This surplus shifts the consumer to a higher indifference curve, that is IC2. AY1 is the willingness to spend, AY2 is actually spending. If we withdraw some income from him through a tax and push him on IC1, which is a lower indifference curve, only his equilibrium is at L. But if we allow him to buy OS units, he will be in equilibrium at point R2. The amount of income deducted, that is R1, R2 is the compensation variation. The third step of cost benefit analysis is shadow pricing. A shadow or accounting price is a price estimate for a cost or a benefit when market prices are considered not to be an accurate reflection of opportunity cost or when no market price exists. Market prices may not reflect opportunity cost due to existence of externalities or of government control. The whole concept of externalities is being explained in Tools of Economic Evaluation Module 1. Where there are external effects or externalities in consumption, observed prices, that is market prices, may be replaced with shadow prices. For example, if voluntary unemployment is prevalent in the economy, then the valuation of leisure time may exceed individuals' true valuation because they are forced to consume more leisure than they would prefer. The social valuation of an extra consumption of A's cigarette may be less than A's compensation variation because the cigarette smoke affects B's nose. Using the demand curve to estimate the benefits. If the amount the consumer is willing to pay for every possible separate quantity of care, then the total willingness to pay of society for any total quantity of later date may add less to utility. The fourth step of cost benefit analysis is time preference and discounting. The benefits of the projects may be spread over time, and hence it is essential to weigh the future versus the present. Future benefits are weighed less because 1. Individuals may have T time preference rates because they discount future costs and benefits. The reasons are impatience, uncertainty in future, which is die, risk of never enjoying the benefits, and the third one is consumption at a later date. The second reason is benefits available now may be invested to produce greater benefits in future. For example, rupees 100 now, interest rate of 10 will give 110 after a year and 121 after 2 years, whereas receiving 100 rupees after a year means losing 10 rupees. Therefore, there is an opportunity cost to receive benefits in the future instead of present. Two approaches to weigh future versus present benefits and costs. Social time preference. It refers to individual preference regarding future versus present. Because markets are imperfect, it does not apply here. The objective is to achieve equity, that is a social welfare function. Social opportunity cost of capital. It refers to prevailing real rate of interest. The objective is to achieve social efficiency. The future costs and benefits are weighed by means of discount rate, whereby compensation variations in different years are summed as summation CVT 1 plus R raised to the power minus T, where T is 0 is present year, T equal to 1 year ahead. R is the discount rate. Risk and uncertainty. The fifth step is risk and uncertainty. The effects of project may not be certain. Risky gains are less preferred to certainty equivalents, and hence compensation variations should be valued as certainty equivalents. The 6 steps of cost benefit analysis is direct valuation. To estimate the individual's compensation variations directly, imagine 2 scenarios with the project and without the project. Ask the question how much they would be willing to pay for the project. Sometimes it is an underestimate or overestimate. The 7th step is aggregation. If the rich derive utility from the utility gain of others, then there will be an external benefit to be included from the gains of the poor over and above their utility gain. The method here is to give weights, that is WI, to individual compensation variations according to the importance to be attached to their gains or losses. That can be expressed as summation I ranging from 1 to n WI CVI. The equity is treated as externality, hence it becomes invalid. Equity measures tax rates and income levels. Weights are often inversely related to the individual's marginal rate of taxation. But in practice, it is difficult to measure the true distribution of income and wealth. It would be much more difficult to measure the distribution of utility. Thank you.